Hello friends, welcome back to the GK Sports India YouTube channel, and we are here at the Kumbi-Gikku Show previewing the test match starting at Old Trafford, the fourth of the Anderson-Tendulkar trophy, and to discuss what's ahead at Manchester's Old Trafford, our expert Srinath joins us in this Kumbi-Gikku Show previewing the fourth test of this series. Welcome, Sri. Welcome back to the Kumbi-Gikku Show. And how excited are you for this series-defining test at the Old Trafford, which has got a rich history over the years?
Thank you, Gikku. Eagerly looking forward to, because this is going to be a series-defining test match for either sides. A victory for India, possibly trying to rewrite history like what they did in Edgbaston. Would put India, level at 2-2, and it would be a humdinger in the last test match. But if England go past India here, it would be curtains for India in this series, and it would be either 3-1 or 3-2 going into the final test match. Absolutely hoping that the weather clears and we get full 5 days of cricket. It's not been great news for the last couple of days. The pitch has been under covers, and hardly they've got any practice outdoor. And hoping the weather clears. And yes, very excited, looking forward to a tantalizing test match here at Old Trafford.
Certainly, I look forward to India doing what they did in Edgbaston. Until they played in Edgbaston before the series, India had never won there. So India have never won at Old Trafford. Among the 9 test matches that they have played, 4 won by England and the other 5 have ended in draws. So certainly India can do what they did in Edgbaston and rewrite history. Sri, England, as they have always been doing, have announced their playing 11. Only one change, the expected one, Liam Dawson, who comes back to Test cricket after 8 years. We saw Jofra Archer come back to Test cricket after 4 years, and it is twice the number of the gap that he was missing. Liam Dawson, left-arm spinner. You think that's the best replacement they could bring in for Shoaib Bashir?
Yeah, going by news and what Dawson has achieved in the last couple of years in the county circuit. So he's done a la Karun Nair, what he did for India, he's done that for England. Having said that, that's a forced change. But we need to appreciate the management's backing of a couple of players, Gikku, because the form of Crawley has been pretty ordinary, as we've been discussing throughout the series. And also Wokes. He's not looked in his elements, and he's not looked really threatening in the previous 3 test matches. Mind you, they have a big tour coming up after this. They tour Australia for the Ashes. And a lot of places are going to be, up for grabs even in the England side. But hats off to Ben Stokes and the support staff, including Brendan McCullum. They have showed faith, both in retaining Zach Crawley and Chris Wokes. Not very sure about the fitness of Atkinson. He would have been more than a handful, because he's somebody who clocks more than 140. And he would have been more than a handful along with the inform Jofra Archer, Cars, and Ben Stokes. Yes, I think that's the way England has, progressed over a period of time. And as you mentioned, they are one of the sides, who are very clear about what's the playing 11 they want to play. There's no cat and mouse game till the toss, and they have a look at the pitch and then decide what they need to do. It's a clear-cut case. Dawson comes in. And also when there's a playing 11 allowance and the player knows maybe 24 hours, 48 hours before the game that he plays, I think mentally he's more well prepared, and also he can visualize as to what his role in the side is. That's the confidence, he gets to. So it's a clear scene for England. One forced change, and the rest of it, as we've seen in the last 3 test matches, they go in. And the boost would be again Archer playing his second back-to-back game, of course, after an 8 days rest.
8 days, yes. And in those 8 days, India did visit the Manchester United ground, which is not far away from the Old Trafford cricket stadium. And I wonder if Manchester United team took tips from India on how to win, because they have not been having a good few Premier League seasons. Or did India take tips on how to win? matches after matches that Manchester United have won titles in the past. So it's just whatever it is. Sri, you spoke about just England persisting with Zach Crawley. Zach Crawley, I feel Zach Crawley is somebody who is like KL Rahul. Immense talent, potential, given number of chances, but not proved his worth. I mean, 50 plus test matches, still not got that average around so somewhere like how KL Rahul and his number of test matches and averaging in the mid 30s, when they are talented enough to be averaging in excess of 40, 45 or late for 40s. And also Liam Dawson, I saw an interesting statistic, Sri. First class matches at number 8, he has got more than 10,000 first class runs. And no Indian number 8 has got that many. So that shows what Liam Dawson is going to bring to the table in the coming 1 or 2 test matches. You mentioned about England naming their playing 11, giving their players who are going to be in the 11 that confidence and what they can do or how they can prepare. What about India? I saw a post on X that Sai Sudarshan was doing shadow practicing on the wicket, of course, the covered wicket of Old Trafford. Do you see him play in the playing 11 in place of, say, somebody like Karun Nair? What changes you foresee? Because there are going to be some forced changes. Nitish Reddy is unavailable for the rest of the series, a left knee injury. Akashdeep Singh, though has not played a single test match, he is not available, thumb injury or something. And there is doubt about Akashdeep. So what do you see among the Indian changes?
To start with, you've mentioned the forced changes. One good news is Bumrah is certainly playing this test match because it makes more sense for him to play this test match. If he can really deliver on a big stage, which he's always done and capable of, India could level the series and open the door for the final test match. So they've had, been a fresh time of about 8 days, I mentioned, that would have done a world of good for Bumrah. Bumrah and Siraj would be the potent bowling attack. And I feel, I think Akashdeep was lined up for this test match. As we mentioned, Manchester, typically, Old Trafford has produced pitches that are quite dry and, spinners do come into play. There was a lot of talk about, playing Kuldeep because so far the 3 surfaces we've seen have all been typically dry and Kuldeep certainly should have played. But what is going through the think tank of the Indian team, we are not aware of it. With weather also not promising, something really bright, and it's going to be cold conditions. I doubt very much whether they would throw in Kuldeep in this game. I feel it's going to be a debut handout for Anshul Kamboj. I think he will be replacing Akashdeep because the Indian team has not shown that much of confidence in Prasidh after he had the first 2 test matches with no great performances under his belt. And also there is news that Rishabh Pant will keep wickets and, play as a batter. So now the one chance that, is open is that of Nitish Reddy. Now already with 3 seamers, with Washington Sundar and Jadeja, not only with the ball, they are more than capable with the bat. So will India play an extra batter? I doubt whether they will look at Shardul Thakur in place of Nitish Reddy as a like-to-like replacement. If India wants to take it deep, will they gamble playing Sai Sudarshan? That's the only, possibility that could be available because what I have heard in the presser from Shubman Gill, he's, sort of given a hint saying that certainly Karun Nair is getting one more opportunity. And I also firmly believe with the sort of performances Karun had under the belt in the domestic circuit, you brought him to England, he's just not looked out of sorts. It's just a matter of one big knock, excepting the, first innings in Leeds where he got out to a ordinary shot. Maybe that was nerves, he was making a comeback. The rest all he's got past 20, 30, 40, 17. So he's got his eye in. It's just that, he's got one unplayable ball which has got him out. So it would be, a bit prudent to give Karun one more chance or rather, play him in all the 5 test matches. He comes good, fair enough to take him forward from there. because age is on Sai Sudarshan's side. Definitely is going to be the future of the Indian unit for a long time to come. So I don't see Sai Sudarshan replacing Karun Nair. Karun will continue. So the only question will be, will India play one more extra batter? If that happens, yes, Sai Sudarshan will come in place of Nitish Reddy. Otherwise, I don't see too many changes happening, because this current set of boys have done really well. It's just a few hit and misses, because we've dominated majority of the days or sessions in the last 3 test matches. It's just, the final touch that needs to come through.
Sri, you mentioned an interesting point about Anshul Kamboj likely to make his debut. You would have seen him in the domestic circuit, umpired his matches. We saw bits of him in the IPL playing for Chennai Super Kings, and he did quite impress those who watched him. Can you throw more light on what he can do and how the condition? Because at the start of the series, India A versus England Lions, he picked up wickets, but Harshit Rana was asked to stay back, or he was there, and Anshul Kamboj was not in the standbys or whatever. So now Anshul Kamboj is added to the squad. Can you throw more light on Anshul Kamboj, and will the conditions in England suit him?
Absolutely. I've watched him as an under-19 boy and followed his graph into the senior cricket in Haryana. And mind you, apart from Anil Kumble, the only other Indian after Debashish Monty in the Dulip Trophy game, he got 10-4 against South representing East. Anshul Kamboj got all the 10 wickets in a first-class game against Kerala. So that's no mean feat. And mind you, Kerala, maybe 20 years back, they were a different unit. But in the last 15 years, they've done really well in the domestic circuit. And to get all 10 in a domestic game is something really commendable. Yeah, Anshul Kamboj is one of those bowlers whom I've seen always, was cut out for red ball cricket. Because we see many, many cricketers today by choice. They say that we want to be a part of the white ball team. Somebody like Surya Kumar Yadav, he's made and cut out for the T20 game. And he really, takes it like a fish to water. So I've seen Kamboj bowl long spells. And he's a guy who can seam the ball around and get the ball to move in the air. And mind you, no better conditions than what is prevailing right now at Old Trafford. It's going to be cloudy, rain around, and definitely the pitches have been under cover. It would be a lot of moisture, unless and until, again, when the surface is off the covers, we get to see a bald patch there. So whatever it is, the conditions are going to be conducive for him. And I believe it's the right call. Like we say, baptism by fire. No better place for a fast bowler to make his debut. And certainly, he's a very exciting prospect. And again, he's been on the road for Haryana in the domestic circuit for quite some time now. A reward for what he's done in domestic. A well-deserved cap, I feel, when he makes his debut for India tomorrow.
Certainly looking forward to such young players, and hopefully they remain injury-free. That is something which is very, very concerning. Youngsters, like we saw the case of Mayank Yadav, hardly playing any game and breaks down after 1 or 2 matches, which we disappointingly saw in the IPL this year. But then hopefully Anshul Kamboj has a long run, keeps himself fit. Sri, Old Trafford, and what kind of what memories do you get of Old Trafford? Because over the years, since 1936, India have travelled to England and played test matches, 9 of them, lost 4 and drawn 5. Some major milestones from the Indian side, Mushtaq Ali becoming the first Indian to score 100 in England, and that was at Old Trafford in 1936. Where he opened the batting, and then because I remember once when I visited Indore for a Dulip Trophy game, I happened to visit Mushtaq Ali sir's house, and wanted to do an interview. That was for Deccan Herald in the early 2000s. And first thing he asked me, made me sit in the sofa. We were facing each other. First thing he asked me was, "What do you know about me?" And I had prepared well, and also read books over the years that I knew enough that he was the first Indian to score 100 in England in Test cricket. And among the other tests, India were bowled out twice in a day. In 1952, Freddie Truman being the recurrent chief. 1982, Sandeep Patil, 129. including 6 fours in an over of Bob Willis, which was among the first things of a batter hitting 6 fours in an over. And of course, we cannot forget Sachin Tendulkar, his first of 51 Test hundreds at Old Trafford in 1990. So these are some of the memories that I have of Old Trafford. What have been yours?
I think true, Gikku. A couple of things regarding when you spoke about Mr. Mushtaq Ali's 100. I just remember vaguely having read that somewhere. Of course, these are all vivid memories in the mind. Sachin's 100 and, Sandeep Patil hitting Bob Willis for 6 boundaries in that over. So as a youngster, we were all glued to those days, the black and white television of Solitaire and Dianora, waiting to watch these test matches. Yes, always we hide behind numbers and stats and say a lot of things cannot be turned around. But I think in the last maybe a decade and a half, the Indian team has turned around a lot of things in the SENA countries, winning in Australia, winning in New Zealand, beating South Africa, achieving victories in West Indies, in England. So it's about time a lot of things are rewritten. As I said, hopefully, what we were able to do in Leeds, we can just repeat the same thing in Old Trafford. The 10th outing could be lucky for India and get on the honours board with a 2-all. What else do you want? Walk into Oval in the last test match, with the series 2-all. So yes, historically, one of the oldest venues in world cricket comes in with a lot of history, and you will have a lot of Indians coming out there. Because I remember way back, I think 30 years back as an youngster, when I toured England, we had an opportunity to play a side game there against their minor county. So I remember the number of Indians out there who had come to watch the game on Sunday. And truly, this ground also will be packed with Indians. And as I said in the opening, hopefully weather holds good and we get, maximum cricket so that the apt result can be achieved.
Certainly, because the weather forecast is for rains, though not for the entire day, in bits and pieces, especially in the afternoons over the next 5 days. And there is going to be heavy rains on Monday, which is the day after the 5th day of the test match. So hopefully, in whatever available playing time, there is going to be definitely a result, Sri, don't you think so? Because over the years, especially in the recent last couple of years, 2024, 3 tests out of 53 in that calendar year have ended in draw. So there have been so many other 50 outright results. And so far this year in 2025, 22 matches and only 1 drawn result. So it is definitely going to be a result-oriented game. What do you think so? Don't you think it is definitely going to be a result with whatever plays is possible?
Well, if it's going to be stop-start, certainly, the momentum would be off teams unless and until one team is on top. That's one part of it, because cricket is a game wherein when you are at it continuously, the momentum can shift from side to side. But stop-start will definitely put a break on either one of the teams. Having said that, I think that's been the beauty of this game. In the last about decade and a half, we've seen more results, being achieved. Maybe that could be, attributed to the amount of T20 cricket that's being played worldwide, the aggressive nature of batting that players have been showing. Otherwise, we've seen a lot of docile draws till maybe, early 90s and getting into late 90s. I think advent of 2000, late 2000s is where we saw in excess of 300 being scored on days, where batters put the pressure and the bowlers had the luxury of getting 20 test match wickets to win a test game. Yes, a result is certainly on the cards because both the teams will certainly go hard. And more than anything, it's for India to really put the foot on the gas pedal more, because they would be the ones who would be more desperate, to gain as much time as possible to get this game under the belt. If it's going to be rain, and unfortunately we don't get a result out of it, again, the final test match would become crucial. Maybe it could be a drawn series. But England also would be, that much eager to seal it here. So yes, hopefully we get maximum cricket. And as you said, the amount of results we've been seeing in the last couple of years, hopefully with whatever little cricket we might get into the belt, looking certainly forward to a result being achieved in this game.
You just mentioned about, scores of 300 being scored consistently in a day's play. whenever a team scores in excess of, say, 4 runs and over, my only thought goes to one particular test match, India versus Australia in 1986. Day one, David Bourne and Jeff Marsh batting. The end of the day's score was 217 for 2. So one of them got 100, but somehow this number has remained in my memory for a long time. 217 for 2. And David Bourne and Jeff Marsh were the openers, Australia versus India. If I vaguely remember if it is the Jaipur test match, if India played there, but one of the definitely test day one, 217 for 2. This is something I don't know why it stays in my mind, but this remains. So anyway,
I think gone are those days when we are going to look at scores of 220 to 230 in 90 overs. So
right.
if one team is back 90 overs on a given day, it's certainly going to be in excess of 4. So I think that's the way the game has panned out, in the last few years.
Sri, before we wind up, Shubman Gill had a fantastic first 2 test matches, but with the bat, not so memorable test at Lords. Do you see him scoring big at Old Trafford and holding the Indian innings together? And if they have to win this, he holds the key.
Absolutely. I think, he's just one strike away because he's in fine form. And it was just that he got a brilliant ball in the second innings, so in the first. So it's just not that, he got out to playing bad shots. It was just good balls that got out. He got out to. Having said that, I think, again, it's going to be Jaiswal also, who's a very important cog in this wheel because his aggressive nature, he can get the team off to a flyer that can throw the English attack off the radar. So, yes, Shubman Gill scoring big because he's known for getting those, big daddy hundreds. So what we've seen here is Pant getting a couple of hundreds, but throwing it away at 120, 125. It has to be a batter who can get a big 100. It could be KL Rahul, which he's capable of, or are we going to go see a big 3-figure score from Yashasvi Jaiswal or Shubman Gill? Because, mind you, all the top 6 batters are in terrific form. So it's just that 2 or 3 of them have to score big, so that India will not be under pressure if they are going to bat once again, or if they bat first and make a big score, the pressure would be on England.
Or for that matter, Karun Nair, why not he score a big 100 and justify the faith that the team management has on him if he is given that extended stay and chance in this test series. You mentioned about Yashasvi Jaiswal and the way he started the series and not continued in the same fashion. I read in one of the British papers that he is among the 4 or the Fab 4 for the future, and among them is Jamie Smith, Kamindo Mendes, and Shafiq Abdullah of Pakistan, along with Yashasvi Jaiswal. So, like the Fab 4, we had Virat Kohli, Joe Root, Kane Williamson, and Steve Smith. The future Fab 4 is going to be these 4. Jamie Smith, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Kamindo Mendes of Sri Lanka, and Shafiq Abdullah of Pakistan. So, hopefully...
Where is Harry Brook? If the English tabloids are right, I think they're missing out on one of the top guys who's going to be the future of world cricket.
Exactly,
anyway,
yes.
That's the opinion of whomsoever has mentioned that in a column in England. Yes, of course, immense talent, and we've seen that, we've known, and in his short test match career now, he's averaging in excess of 50. It's just one strike always, as I mentioned. It could be Jaiswal, as you mentioned, yes, Karun Nair, because the faith that the Indian team has shown in him, giving him, I would say, a long rope, certainly a justified run, because this could be a defining series for Karun Nair going forward. So yes, important for the Indian batters at the top to sustain their form, and as I said, a couple of them to score big runs, which is going to be very, very important.
And for Bumrah and Co to have enough runs to take 20 wickets and take India 2-all in the series going into the 5th and final test starting on July 31st. So looking forward to the Old Trafford test match starting on Wednesday. Thank you, Sri, for your wonderful insights. As always, you have been wonderful listening to you, and looking forward to this test match. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.